of the reasons that networking is so essential for business is that it creates leverage. And at the end of the day, leverage is really what we're talking about. The leverage is just 1 + 1 no longer equals 2. 1 + 1 equals 5, 6, 7, so on and so forth. Hey, welcome back. Today we're going to talk about why business networking is so essential for business, right? So at the end of the day, when you look around and you want to know how kind of stuff gets done and things always happen to those that are lucky, well, it really comes down to how people are business networking. And so today we're going to talk about several reasons why networking is essential with whatever business you're in. It doesn't matter what business you're in or what you're actually trying to accomplish. You should always be networking for your business. And so we're going to talk about some stories today. We're going to talk about some fails. We're going to talk about some wins, and we're going to just get started. So if you have never been around me before, my name is Eberhart, and I am really, really excited to talk to you today about really how to grow and why networking is so essential to growing your business, okay? So number one is you are able to tap into communities very, very quickly. So what this really means is when you are out, and it doesn't matter whether you are at a barbecue or you're at a networking function or you are at a seminar or you're just out and about, if you are always looking to grow and enhance and build your network, everything becomes easier when you're able to tap into communities. And so one of the things I like to talk about when I'm on stage is I start out with like, who's the most powerful woman in the world? And when I ask people this, it doesn't matter whether it is 2 people in a room or 20,000 people in the room, I get the same answer every single time. That's Oprah Winfrey. And at the end of the day, when you really ask yourself, why does Oprah keep coming up over all the other women on the planet? It's because of her influence. And that's really what we're talking about. Networking is nothing more than tapping into one's influence, okay? So if we think about it in those terms, tapping into communities is a great reason you should be networking, okay? So for example, if you have somebody in your local community or a local business, and that business, you need extra customers, or maybe you're going to do an event at your shop, or maybe you're going to run a seminar, or you're going to run some kind of promotion. Being able to pick up the phone and call people in your network of influence allows you to tap into their communities far faster than you trying to build that community yourself, right? So tapping into communities is one of the many reasons that networking is so powerful and essential in growing your business. The next one is a little bit on the same, but it allows you to grow, attract, and build joint venture partnerships. We refer to those as JVs, right? Joint ventures. And all essentially a joint venture means is that you've got your set of customers and somebody else has the same customer, but that you don't compete. And what you're going to do is you're going to grow a partnership together. So they have their group of customers, you have your group of customers. You're going to both cross promote each other's products to that same customer, even though you don't compete. So let me give you a small example. I used to run a brand on Amazon where we sold products in the pet space on Amazon. And in fact, one of our top selling products was a pet stain and stink remover. Okay, so it was a product where if your house has a pet stain in it, critter had a little accident, you simply sprayed this on that stain and tomorrow was gone. Okay, so this was really powerful. We had networked. I had built relationships with other people that were selling products on Amazon in the pet space. Okay, so at the end of the day, we all had the same customer. Our customer was somebody like you probably who has a pet, okay? But we were selling products to a pet owner to solve a very particular problem. A critter had an accident, right? Or somebody's laundry room smells like a litter box, okay? Now, here's the thing. When we started networking, I was trying to find out people that sold products to pet owners that we didn't compete with. And so we landed on a powerful joint venture opportunity with a lady who she sold big dog bowls, big stainless steel dog food bowls, okay? That was an ideal client for us. In fact, if you think about this logically, the reason that we didn't go after like kitty cat owners was they were small pets. You didn't have that many stain opportunities for us to fix. But big dogs and big houses and RVs and boats, that was our ideal client. So we found a gal and she sold stainless steel dog bowls. Well, because I had networked with her and we had talked about some of the pluses on Amazon and the negatives on Amazon and how we were selling and she was selling, and we traded ideas and traded tips. So we spent a little bit of time building rapport and building a relationship together. And so once we had that in place, I simply said to her, hey, look, you know what? We sell to your clients, you sell to our clients. Why don't we do a joint venture? And so we did an entire promotional campaign to each of our email lists, as well as we took it a step further. We added her flyer into our product. So when we sold a product, her flyer went out to the customer and vice versa. It was a great way, but we would have never had that opportunity to tap into her community, nor would we have had the opportunity to grow a joint venture relationship with her had we not put in place networking right from the get-go. Okay. Now, another way that you can, or another reason why networking is so vitally important and essential to growing any type of business is that it gives you easier access to getting things done. Easier access to getting things done. I'll give you an example, a personal example. When I was very young, I learned the art and the skill of networking and adding people to my network at all times. And I was always looking for ways to add value to those people that were in my network and looking to make referrals to people that were in my network, almost like a social bank account. So when I meet somebody new, I visualize that the person and I are walking into a bank together and we're opening what I like to call a social bank account. Now, what happens with a bank account? If you open a joint bank account with somebody and nobody puts anything in it, the minute you try to go withdraw from that bank account, what do you happen? You get an overdraft protection, and too many of those, the bank closes a relationship down. However, if you're both adding value into that bank account, then there's some value in there when you need something to call upon. So I'm going to give you an example when I was really young, and this is a true life story of just reasons why networking is so, how it helped me in getting stuff done. So I had a local community bank in my neighborhood, and every day I would ride my bike past this bank. And so one day I just thought, you know what, I should go in there and figure out. I had an interest in finance and banking and investments and those type of things. And so I walked in there and I ended up meeting the banker, the head banker in there, right? Well, it turns out that head banker also knew my father. My dad was the local veterinarian in our town. So my dad kind of knew everybody, but I was young at the time. Anyways, I met the banker, and so I started to learn the loan process. I was a young kid, so it wasn't like I got some big in-depth knowledge of this thing, but I figured out that they sold money. That's what a bank did. Who'd have thought? I thought you just went and put your money in there and they paid you money, and I didn't understand how any of that worked. But once they started to explain to me that they were in the business of selling money or loaning or renting money, if you will, I just started to figure out how I could put business in their bank. And I was just entering into high school. I was a sophomore in high school. I was 15, 16 years old. And what happens at age 15, 16? I don't know about you, but all my friends started getting cars. And so what happened was I had several friends of mine that were as they were turning 16, I was saying, hey, you should use this bank for your car loan. Like go talk to John, and John might be able to help you. And you know what? A couple of them did that. And in fact, two of my friends got their first car loan through this bank. Okay. Now I turned 16 in January. And so what happened in January? I needed a car. Okay. So I called up John and I said, hey, I need a car loan. And you want to know what was really interesting? Because I had referred him several of my friends and I took an interest in seeing how their business worked, I didn't realize until very later on in life that you didn't just get a loan by calling. I got my car loan. I remember specifically it was for $10,000. And I basically got that loan on a phone call. I didn't have a bunch of paper. I think I might have had some paperwork, but I pretty much had the loan simply because I had built that network. John was in my network and I had referred him some business before I ever needed it. So you can do the same thing. You can start building that network, acting as if you have a social bank account with somebody, and then add business to them, make some referrals into them. It allows you to get easier access to getting things done. Now, here's another reason why I plead with people of why it is so essential to network, especially in the business world, and that is you have access to the best deals, right? So I have a client who's a real estate investor down in Texas, and we were talking, and I said, listen, it is vitally important that you start building a network down there if that's where you're going to invest, because I want you to get access to the better deals. And he was like, what are you talking about? I can go on the MLS, or I can talk to, I can just go to a real estate agent and they can pass me deals. I said, yes, but if you lay the groundwork ahead of time, you'll actually have access to the better deals faster. And here's what happened. We went down there. He kind of had a plan of who to network with and why to network. And so he started building the network. Same thing, going in, finding people to connect with, connecting with them, taking on the responsibility of the follow-up, taking on the responsibility of connecting, taking on the responsibility of figuring out how to help them get what they want in this, quote, social bank account. And lo and behold, all of a sudden, here's what happens. All of a sudden, people start calling him, asking for his advice on particular real estate deals. And it allowed him to become the Oprah Winfrey in his network, or the person with the influence in that network, the resource in that network, so that everybody knew that he was the guy in town that could help them in their real estate investing. Well, what ended up happening were all these people came to him, asking him to evaluate deals to see if they knew construction companies, see if they knew landscapers, see if he knew who the best real estate agent or the best insurance agent, the best loan officer was in the neighborhood. And pretty soon he started being able to pick up those properties that he wanted to invest in simply because his network was now calling him. It allows you access to some of the best deals ever. Okay. Next, top talent. This is huge. I'm going to use a story for myself in this one because I think it's really important. So access to the top talent. So I live in Los Angeles. When I moved down here when I was 23, 24 years old, and I started producing movies. I was a movie producer for many, many years. And one of the things that always struck me was that because I understood the value of building a network, how I could basically crew an entire movie with my phone. Because what it allowed me to do is I had a network of other film producers that I spent time with and grew my network. I had the opportunity to call them and say, hey, I need a key grip, or I need a gaffer, or I need a director of photography, or I need a director, or I need a location scout, or I need Glam Squad. For those of you that are not in the film business, Glam Squad is what we call the team of people that make our actors look amazing. Hair, makeup, nails, wardrobe, those type of folks. But what it allowed me to do is really tap into that, so I didn't have to go put a request for resume and go through that entire process. Because I had built a network ahead of time, it really allowed me to pick up the phone and call certain key other influencers in that marketplace, and gave me access to way better talent than I would have had I just put out a request for, hey, come work for me. It doesn't really even happen in the movie world. But if it does, well, I guess it does a little bit. But that happens when people are not connected. Obviously, you hear it's who you know. At least in Hollywood, it is really, really true on who you know. Now, the other thing that it does is it gives you faster feedback by people that will actually be real with you. Faster feedback. So it's so funny. Right before I'm doing this, I was just on the phone with a friend of mine. She's about ready to launch a multi-million-dollar deal. Okay, and they're just about to go live. And so she called me and she said, "Hey, we're about to go live with this deal, but I don't know if it's going to be the best deal. Do you think you could put your eyes on and take a look?" So I was like, "Of course, right?" I love her. I value her. I think she's amazing. She's an amazing businesswoman. I said, absolutely. So we spent 15 minutes going through her offering. And inside of that, I was able to help her come up with one or two things that she can implement that will create a massive windfall for her on the backside of this deal. The reason that's important is, had she gone through the regular testing process and gone and launched it, and then did all the testing for it and spent all the money on it, she would have probably come up with the same feedback. It would have just taken her a whole lot more time and a whole lot more money. So those resources. But because she's in my network, she knows what I am really good at. She just called and said, "Hey, could you take a look at this?" Boom. Easier, faster, better, and more profitable feedback, because she also understood the value of building that network. Okay. It also gives you access to better investors. So as an investor myself, I know that most of the deals that I invest with are people that are in my network. And when I'm looking for investors for whatever it is, whether it's a real estate deal or a business deal or a product deal, I know that I have access to investors that are already in my network. And really, you guys, all that really means is that somebody will pick up the phone when I call them. Right? If somebody won't pick up the phone when you call them, I'm not sure that you could count them in your network. But I also think it's important, especially if you start dealing with bigger and bigger deals and bigger investments, that you spend some time nurturing your network. And we'll talk about nurturing your network on a different video. Today, I really want to just keep it focused on why it is so essential and some of the benefits that networking has as part of your everyday mix in what you do for your business. Investors is a huge one. When you can call upon your network and get that feedback and bounce ideas off of people inside your network, you're going to find that they are a lot more likely to invest in your product, good, or service. If you need capital to start something, it's a heck of a lot easier to pick up the phone and call people you know in your network that are already investing or already influential in their communities that would jump leap or leapfrog into their community of other people that are investors. For example, I have a couple of guys in my network. One of them is an angel investor. He's tied to an angel investor network. So my network knows that if they need angel investors, they can call me. I'll put them in touch with my friend. My friend will then open up a whole new level of opportunity for those investors, simply because it is me connected to that angel investor. So you want to basically really cultivate more relationships, and ultimately nurturing those relationships. Now, here's one of the things that I love talking about this, and sometimes it's a little bit out there, but go with me on it. And that is one of the reasons that networking is so essential for business is that it creates leverage. And at the end of the day, leverage is really what we're talking about. Leveraging of time, leveraging of resources, whether that's money or time. And that essentially says this, that leverage is just 1 + 1 no longer equals 2. 1 + 1 = 5, 6, 7, so on and so forth. So by bringing networks of people together, you are having access to more than one person. And that's why I find essential networking, I find business networking essential, because it allows me to create leverage. It'll allow you to create leverage in your business if you will allow it. And again, let me just make sure that I continuously reemphasize that it is about nurturing that network as well. Meeting somebody at an event one time and never connecting with them, never finding out what they need, never finding out how you can help them, that is not networking. Networking is really, if you really want to think about it differently, it's really building friendships. And the more friends that you have, the more popular you are. The more popular that you are, the easier things become. And that's really because of leverage. Now, if you want a kind of a blueprint plan or whatever, I just want you to think about it this way. I want you to become the resource in your community, whatever community that is, whether it's a local community, a digital community, an online community, an offline community. When you become the resource that everybody goes to, it's game over. So let me give you an example. You want your network to take ownership of your relationship. You want them to take ownership of your relationship. Let me give you an example. If, for example, somebody says to you, you know what? I need some flowers to send my wife. If you say, I got a guy or I got a gal, what that means is that that florist, you own that relationship with that florist because you've got the relationship. You want that to happen in your network. When somebody wants to buy a company or sell a company or consult a company or advise a company or join a mastermind, something with business, I want people to say, hey, I got a guy, and that guy is me. When that occurs and your network takes ownership of your relationship, oh my gosh, the game becomes really, really easy because now there's one place to funnel all of their questions to. You want to be the person, the man, the woman that everybody calls with questions because they know you know everyone. When that happens, the world opens up beyond your wildest expectations. What ends up happening is your reach goes through your roof. And when I say your reach, I mean the people, the communities, the connections that you have go through the roof. Your influence goes through the roof. And I don't mean influence in any negative term other than to say that somebody brings you something and you're able to help them, you're able to serve them, you're able to cause and create impact for them by somebody that you know. Oh my gosh, it's awesome. So here's the thing. Business is a game. It is a game and it is a team sport. When we were kids in junior high and high school, if you looked on your friend's paper and you started doing homework as a team sport, we got called cheaters. It was horrible. We got sent to the principal's office. In business, it's essential that we work with teams and work with a network of people. The other reason, and I'll just leave it kind of at this, that once you understand the skill of building a network, once you understand the skill of building a network, that means that basically the world is your oyster. You can go anywhere in the world, get dropped off, and very quickly start to amass all the people in a community that will allow you to increase your reach, increase your influence, tap into joint venture partnerships, have everything right at your fingertips. Having easier access to top talent if you need to hire them, having easier access to resources, having easier access to investors. Maybe you're an investor and you want access to deals. All of that becomes a heck of a lot easier when you allow yourself to understand and put a little effort into actually building your network. So I've created a PDF. It's 120 power networking tips. I print this thing off, and before I go to some event where I'm going to meet a bunch of strangers, I just read through it. It takes a couple of minutes to read, but it really puts you in the mindset of how to network and add people into your network, your community, as you move forward. So if you want a copy of that, I put it on powernetworkingtips.com. It's free. You can go check it out. Love to have you participate. And hey, I just want to take a moment to say thank you for paying attention. Thank you for allowing me a little bit of time in your brain, in your headphones. Maybe you're watching on video, but it really does mean a lot to me that you would be somebody that really means business about your business and is interested in networking. So with that, have an amazing day. Let's go out and grow our network, and I'll see you guys next time. Ciao for now.